Hello everyone, Rituro here from Toronto Thumbs with a review of Endless Legend.
Can you not see it? The end is near. Orion is infested with foolish creatures who look at tomorrow as if they will live forever. They do not understand that none will survive unless from ignorance springs curiosity, from wilderness surges civilization, from barrenness grows exchange, from savagery arises bravery. As of today, I see none who might lead this planet to its salvation. Unless...
Do you remember that Shel Silverstein poem, Almost Perfect? Whether it was like a birthday party or grading papers, everything was good, just not quite perfect. That's Endless Legend in a nutshell. This game is good, very good, just not quite perfect once you start digging into it. Let's start with the basics. Endless Legend is the third Endless game from Amplitude Studios. You may be familiar with another game from that lineage, Endless Space, a 4X game with very strong overtones to Master of Orion, which I reviewed previously. Endless Legend continues that 4X tradition, this time mixing in the likes of Civilization and Age of Wonders to the existing formula. Picking one of 8 factions, you attempt to conquer the planet Orion by economy, military, territorial control, diplomacy, or technological superiority. All factions can try for any victory type, though some are far better suited to certain avenues than others. For example, you're going to have a tough time winning a military victory with the Roving Clans faction as they cannot declare war. Again, it's not impossible, just wait for someone to declare war on you, counterattack, repeat as necessary. It's just far trickier than an economic or territory victory would be for the Roving Clans. Quests play a big part in Endless Legend. Each faction has their own main storyline quest chock full of lore that explains the history and motivations of each faction. Temple Ruins might offer a quest for a big payday or a rare item. Attempting to parlay with a minor faction and assimilate them through diplomacy instead of brute force means completing a quest. When combined with your main goal of conquering Orion, it means there's never a shortage of things to do. And that's great. Really great. Almost perfect, but not quite. In a 4X game, you already have plenty of stuff to plan and manage without adding on a layer of quests. Quests can pile up and be forgotten easily with little to no negative consequence on the game. More worryingly, some quests are bugged. The second mouse, for example, can be impossible to complete if the target or targets take to the sea, since naval combat does not exist in Endless Legend. Speaking of combat, my biggest gripe with Endless Space was the inability to directly control combat. That gripe, thankfully, has been addressed in Endless Legend. When combat starts, you deploy your troops and give them orders, typically one of move here, attack this target, or hold your ground. Once you click ready, the orders are executed to the best of the AI's ability, in order of initiative. It's not perfect. I maintain move-by-move control is mandatory for games in this genre, but it is a step in the right direction, and at least makes Endless Legend's combat relevant. Now you have a fighting chance of overturning dire pre-combat predictions, or at the very least, leaving the enemy with a Pyrrhic victory. A 4X strategy game typically hinges on how resources are managed. The FIDS system, Food, Industry, Dust, and Science, FIDS, last seen in Endless Space, returns in Endless Legend as FIDSy with the new addition, Influence. Influence serves a number of purposes. It's used as a diplomatic currency, whether you're trying to add a minor faction to your empire or send your regards to a major faction, and it's used as a civic currency, allowing you to set an empire plan at set intervals for empire-wide bonuses. Outside of FIDSy, there are strategic and luxury resources dotted across the surface of Orion. Strategic resources are primarily used to pay for unit upgrades and for certain special buildings, while luxury resources grant your empire a short bonus once activated. It can be overwhelming at first to see so many different types of resources on the map, plus more once you research the technology to find and exploit them. Over time, it becomes fairly straightforward. Find, exploit, bank, and use. If you need cash, or dust, you can also sell strategic and luxury resources on the market, though prices will fluctuate based on supply and demand. This creates an interesting situation. Hoarding strategic resources is actually detrimental to your long-term survival. For example, once you've unlocked Hyperium, you're not going to want to hang on to titanium weapons for much longer, so you sell off your titanium, but that drives the price down. Then everyone else gets up to Hyperium technology and begins selling off their titanium, creating a glut on the market that permanently tanks the price. It would appear that in Endless Legend, obsolescence is ruthless. Finally, let's talk about heroes, the great leaders of your armies and cities. You start the game with one hero leading your army. Get used to that because a second hero is going to cost you an arm and a leg, if you can even afford one at all, ever over the course of the game. I said it in my beta preview, and I'll say it again now. The scaling cost of heroes is far too prohibitive. I understand the need to reinforce that heroes are precious commodities, considering their powerful abilities both inside and outside combat. However, that line of thinking has already been reinforced by the lengthy death timer should a hero fall in combat. Incidentally, if you like the idea of doing nothing but click the next turn button for 20 turns, I recommend having your hero die early. You are basically hosed without a hero, ensuring your young army doesn't die instantly to roving bands of demons or ghosts spawned from minor faction encampments. No hero equals no early game, which means you're screwed in the mid and late game. That's assuming your hero dies, though. If you can keep him, or her, or it alive long enough to establish a foothold on Origa, you're going to be fine. And you're going to enjoy Endless Legend. This is the game Endless Space should have been. It's got tactical flexibility, a deep story, and the always appreciated ability to create your own custom faction. It's almost perfect. Just not quite. Looking at you, heroes and combat. For Toronto Thumbs, this is Rituro.